Pampers Index.
Pampers Index.
Europe's single market still needs changing.
Europe's single market still needs changing.
The parents of a screaming newborn baby typically have no time to spare.
The parents of a screaming newborn baby typically have no time to spare.
But if they live in Europe, they should spend a few minutes shopping around for nappies.
But if they live in Europe, they should spend a few minutes shopping around for nappies.
3 enormous boxes of Pampers come to €168.
Three enormous boxes of Pampers come to €168.
That's $198.
That's $198
On Amazon's Spanish website.
on Amazon's Spanish website.
By contrast, the same
3 enormous boxes of Pampers come to €168. That's $149 on Amazon's Spanish website.
order from Amazon's British website costs only €74.
By contrast, the same order from Amazon's British website costs only €74.
Even after an exorbitant delivery fee is added, the saving is still €42.
Even after an exorbitant delivery fee is added, the saving is €42.
Delivery fee is added, costs only €74. Even after an exorbitant delivery fee is added, the saving is still €42.
Even after an exorbitant delivery fee is added, the saving is €42.
If sleep-deprived parents are too groggy to work out how much they could save in a year,
If the sleep-deprived parents are too groggy to work out how much they could save in a year,
they can pep themselves up with a new coffee machine.
they could pep themselves up with a new copy machine.
The swankiest Nespresso model will set them
If sleep-deprived parents are too groggy to work out how they could save in a year, they could pep themselves up with a new coffee machine.
New coffee machine. The swankiest Nespresso model will set them back €460 on Amazon's French website.
The swankiest Nespresso model set them back €460 on Amazon's French website.
It can be snapped up for €301 on the German version.
But can be snapped up for €103 on German version.
It can be snapped up for €301 on the German version.
On the German version. The swankiest Nespresso model will set them back €160, but can be snapped up for €301 on the German version.
They could then boast about their canny shopping on Samsung's newest phone.
They could then boast about their candy shopping on Samsung's newest phone.
They could then boast about their canny shopping on Samsung's newest phone. Which varies in price by up to €300, depending on which domain is used.
Which varies in price by up to €300, depending on which domain is used. Then they could boast about their candy shopping on Samsung's newest phone, which varies in price by up to €300, depending on which domain is used.
The EU may have a single market, but its products do not have single prices.
EU may have
a single market, depending on which domain is used. The EU may have a single market.
But its products do not have single prices.
In an integrated market, prices are supposed to come together.
In an integrated market, prices are supposed to come together over time.
Yes, this process has stalled in the EU.
Yes, this process has stalled in the EU.
Prices for exactly the same products still diverge.
Prices for the exactly
Prices for exactly the still diverge.
Prices for exactly the same products still diverge,
Often starkly and even among rich countries.
often starkly and even among rich countries.
It is a long-term trend.
It is a long-term trend.
Prices stopped moving together in 2008.
Prices stopped moving together in 2008.
Big steps of integration, such as the introduction of the euro, were 2008. Big steps of integration,
Big steps of integration,
such as the introduction of the euro,
such as the introduction of the euro,
which drew them closer together,
are now rare.
Wages in Eastern Europe
Wages in Eastern Europe
are not growing as rapidly as they were.
are not growing as rapidly as they were.
Services which are often hard to trade across borders
Services which are often hard to trade across borders
make up a greater proportion of the EU economy.
make a great proportion of the EU economy.
Mollycoddle companies still dominate some industries.
Mollycoddle companies still dominate some industries.
Mollycoddle companies still dominate some industries. It is common to see someone stocking up on painkillers
It is common to see someone stocking up on painkillers in the Netherlands.
It is common to see someone stocking up on painkillers in the Netherlands, where they can be bought in any supermarket.
Where they can be bought in any supermarket.
Stocking up on painkillers in the Netherlands, where they can be bought in any supermarket.
Where they can be bought in any supermarket.
Before hopping on a train to Belgium,
Before hopping on a train to Belgium,
where pharmacists enjoy a monopoly
where pharmacists enjoy a monopoly and a markup.
Hopping on a train to Belgium, where pharmacists enjoy a monopoly and a markup. Some price differences are inevitable.
Some price differences are inevitable.
A store in central Paris
A store in central Paris
will charge more for the same goods
will charge more for the same goods
than one in a hypermarket on the edge of a medium-sized town.
than one in a hypermarket
On the edge of a medium-sized town.
Sometimes price divergence isn't necessary. Sometimes the price divergence is necessary.
Sometimes price divergence is necessary in a block that contains both Germany,
In a block that contains both Germany,
GDP per head of 39,130, that contains both Germany,
GDP per head of
39,130 euros,
39,000
Germany, GDP per head of
39,130
euros,
and 130 euros.
And Bulgaria,
And Bulgaria,
that's 8,237 euros.
that's 8,000.
And Bulgaria, that's 8,237 euros.
That's 8,237 euros.
And given that retail is still dominated by brick and mortar stores,
And given that retail is still dominated by brick and mortar stores,
and given that retail is still dominated by brick and mortar stores and their websites, markets remain stubbornly national,
even online.
The upshot?
The upshot?
One study showed that
One study showed that
online prices varied by 20%.
online prices varied by 20%.
Items like electronics, showed that online prices varied by 20% for items like electronics,
For items like electronics,
and up to 40%
and up to 40%
clothing between EU countries.
for clothing between EU countries.
Yet for nappies,
a tradable good which can be bought online anywhere in Europe.
The persistence of big price gaps is especially odd. Prices per nappy range from 11 cents is especially odd. Prices per nappy range from
Prices for nappy range from
11 cents to 61 cents a week.
11 cents to 61 cents.
Prices per nappy range from 11 cents to 61 cents of a euro.
Of a euro within the block.
According to one survey,
The Economist uses the price of a Big Mac to
compare currencies around the other. The Economist uses the price of a Big Mac
The Economist uses the price of a Big Mac
to compare currencies around the world.
to compare currencies around the world.
Something similar could work with the single market.
Something similar could work with the single market.
Call it the Pampers Index,
Call it the Pampers Index,
a rough measure that shows which EU citizens
a rough measure that shows that which EU citizens
are paying over the odds.
are paying over the odds.
Arbitraging these differences away
Arbitraging
is
these differences away
not simple.
is not simple.
Borders matter in trade
Borders matter in trade,
and they still exist in the EU.
and they still exist in the EU.
Cross a state border in America,
Cross a state border in America,
and not much
and not much
changes.
changes
For most businesses,
for most businesses.
cross a border in the EU,
Cross a border in the EU,
and they face a new legal regime
and they face a new legal regime
in a foreign language.
in a foreign language
With a different consumer culture.
Nor is it an easy process for
consumers.
consumers.
It is one thing to fire up Google Translate
To read a news article,
to quite another to double check
Zhu Kasagaya Google Translate to read a news article, quite another to double check what Zhu Kasagaya means
what Kasagaya means
in the middle of a €1,000 purchase.
In the middle of a €1,000 purchase. America is far more integrated, say EU officials.
America is far more integrated, say EU officials.
As a result, big online retailers
like Amazon
offer a shopper in Alabama
the same offered offer a shopper in Alabama
the same price as one in California.
Delivery charges within the EU are often steep,
as any discriminating Spanish parent will soon find.
getting products from where they are cheap
To where they are expensive
is often painfully slow
or prohibitively costly,
particularly if they are bulky like nappies.
It is worse in small countries.
Your correspondent once logged the entire discography of the Rolling Stones on vinyl from London to Brussels,
so that a friend from a Baltic state
could avoid a 100 could avoid a €110 charge.
Nor is there much motivation for suppliers
to fix the problem.
Sellers are unenthusiastic
About products from low price markets,
leaking into high price ones.
The EU has taken some action.
Now it is illegal for websites
to block consumers from other countries
without good reason.
This came after the EU officials picked a fight with Disney
When it emerged that
Disneyland Paris
stopped customers outside France
from getting the cheapest deals.
and the union has created a database
And the union has created a database.
Delivery company charges. And the union has created a database of delivery company charges.
Of delivery company charges.
Hoping sellers will use it to drive prices down.
Hoping sellers will use it to drive prices down.
Such interventions seem to be having an effect.
Such interventions seem to be having an effect.
In 2010, barely 1 in 10 EU citizens
In 2010, barely 1 in 10 EU citizens
bought something from a website
in a different country.
In 2018, 28% did.
In 2018, 8% did.
But the union could do more.
But the union could do more.
Indeed, rather than making it easier for lorries to zip across, but the union could do more. Indeed, rather than making it easier for lorries to zip across borders.
Indeed, rather than making it easier for lorries to zip across borders.
The EU recently tightened its rules.
To placate Western European countries. Which complained that national labor rules were being undercut.
Eastern European countries cried protectionism.
Eastern European countries cried protectionism.
During a crisis,
concerns about lopsided prices can seem petty. The EU is suffering the deepest recession in its history. The EU is suffering the deepest recession in its history. The pandemic has revealed major flaws in its structure, and fixing them takes priority. But the EU has always been a mix of big things, continental peace, and small things, cheap flights. Lately, the union's geopolitical ambitions seem to take up more of its leaders' time than the mundane business of cross-border trade. The single market should not become a forgotten child. Of European integration. Sometimes pricey pampers are as important as high politics. Consumers have to do their bit too. The EU is sometimes criticized for being a top-down institution, confusing voters with grand projects they do not necessarily want. Change can come from other directions. Each country has its own version of booze cruise. A British term for piling into France to buy cheap wine. Luxembourgers head to German supermarkets for better prices. Swedes nip over to Norway to stock up on cheap nappies. Doing so online is much easier. Yet most people still do not bother. Online arbitrage could become an unlikely engine integration.
But it would be up to citizens.
But it would be up to citizens.
As with nappies, some things must start at the bottom.
As with nappies, some things must start at the bottom.